Welcome everybody to the Co-op Company Gaming channel. My name is Ryrie Smith, your host, and I've got with me today Zack and Liz. You guys want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Zack and
I'm Liz.
we're part of Classic Co-op. That's our YouTube channel, and we focus on retro co-op games, but we play a lot of new stuff, but primarily just actually exclusively couch co-op, so we don't do any online stuff.
Right, okay. So what got you guys into playing co-op games together?
Well, growing up, I played a lot of video games with my brothers. Video games just been part of my life. So when we met each other, it was just like, yeah, we love video gaming, both of us separately. And then Zack has a long history of his channel. So I just joined in and became like a permanent co-op partner. You didn't have to meet up with friends on the weekends, you know? It was like every day we can play co-op games.
Right. Okay. So I'm curious about that. With you hopping in and joining and playing games together, has that made gaming for you two less enjoyable because you do it for YouTube, or have you been able to find a balance where you really enjoy it? Just doing it for YouTube for fun and gaming for fun?
For me, it's all fun, and it's a new experience for me doing a YouTube channel that's more of his past expertise. So jumping in and learning about it is really exciting for me, and I also get to game two fun things. So I don't think it really takes away. There's been some timelines where we're like, yeah, we want to play all of these games by this to make a video. Sometimes you have to rush through a game, but overall the experience is just fun because games are fun.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like when it comes to co-op games, for the most part, like even a bad game, if you're playing it with someone that you like, it can still be fun. You can, just talk crap about it, make fun of it, or actually enjoy it. There's lots of, as long as you're with a good partner, like I think any game can be pretty fun. Obviously there's exceptions. There's lots of things that are just frustrating and there's nothing fun about it, but for the most part, like we always have fun, and we just play games we actually want to play pretty much for the channel. So to me, it's always fun.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. I know, like Carly and we've had some trouble with some games where we get kind of frustrated playing the game because we know that in order for a video to do well, we want it to be one of the first ones out there. So if we're doing a review of a game, that's always such a struggle for us because we're like, well, we got to play through the game so fast, but then it's not as relaxing when you're trying to do it just to get through it for a review. So that's where we have to try to find balance for us. Because we're trying to get the content out, but we also want to sit and enjoy the games. And if you play through the game and you're rushing it, that may affect your review as well, And you don't want to say that the game wasn't as great because of the pace that you're playing through it. So I know that's just one of the struggles that we've had with playing games, where it's like, this isn't so fun anymore because we're forcing ourselves to do it so fast.
Yeah.
So we need to slow down and just enjoy. So
We've done that many times.
We've had that experience for sure. We're just like, we got to just get through this. We have to finish it. And it is not fun, but we got to get it done.
Sweet. So Zack, you had the YouTube channel for a long time. And I know I've like heard you talk about this a little bit, but tell me, when did you start the YouTube channel?
I think like 2015. And it was just like, it was all co-op gaming, but it was kind of like scattered. I did a lot more on-camera stuff, and I would have like a couple friends that helped me, but it was never like a consistent style. So basically, once we started doing videos together, I'm like, all right, those videos are hidden. No one will ever see those again. I don't like them. They're embarrassing. And I want to have like a consistent style, a consistent thumbnail style, consistent. Now we just do voiceovers. We're not on camera. I like the editing style and the flow of everything. We try to do it like, we actually have our own style now. Before I was just like trying a bunch of things. We did one video that was like a game hunting video.
Oh God, I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever watched like the Game Chasers or
I think I saw
Retro
something
Liberty.
of theirs just because I'd heard you say that you had done something like that.
Okay.
And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, he
so-
mentioned this. Let me look at this real fast.
Yeah. So it was just like me and a couple friends, we were going to thrift stores looking for old video games, and we recorded it, and it was like just kind of like a documentary type style, and it was fun, but I'm like, we don't do this enough for it to be a series, so we did it one time ever and never did it again.
Right. I
And,
get really
that's
into. Sorry,
how
go
that
for
went.
it.
That's just
That's how that went.
basically
Okay.
that's how that channel was at that point. It was just inconsistent.
Sweet. I get really into video game resale, not necessarily looking for old video games to collect, but old video games that will sell for a lot. I really enjoy those videos on YouTube. So,
Yeah.
especially because like I love doing stuff like that. I found like a 3DS once on Facebook for like $7, and one of the buttons was broken. I was like, I'll buy that, and fixed the button and sold it for $70. I was like, man, that makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
So-
I've had a few situations like that, finding like a kind of expensive game at Goodwill or something and reselling it, but
Right.
oops. But it's you can't really, it's harder now. Like back then it was way easier to find like good deals on stuff.
Right.
I want to know how long you've had your channel. I have less knowledge than Zach does about you and your channel.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if you're like us. Like Carly doesn't do anything with the socials or talk to anybody. So like I have to be like, yeah, these are these people. I've told you about them 7 times.
Yeah.
I mentioned this about them. Yeah, so we started our channel in March of 2021. So we started like right before It Takes Two came out.
Oh, okay.
So that's the marker that we know, because I was like so excited to cover that game, and it was one of the first games that we covered on our channel, and we actually got that game for free from the developers. No, it was from the publishers. It was from EA, and we had like 5
amazing.
subscribers at the time. We had like
Nice.
nothing,
Wow.
and they gave us a copy of the game to review on our channel. It was
that's
insane. I was like,
amazing.
wow, that's so wild. It's so easy to get games.
And now it's now it's like the most popular co-op game.
Yeah.
One
Yeah,
of the
it
most popular. That's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a wild thing to get, because like I could tell that was going to be a fun game from the trailers I was seeing and everything.
Yes.
So, and I think it sold over 1 million copies in its first month. So, yeah,
Nice.
and that's the game that I recommend to everybody now.
I know. Yeah.
I know.
Gives me hope for more like bigger
Yes.
budget co-op games, you know?
Exactly. Other
Yeah, so that's-
developers will see how popular that was, and
Right, and
like, we
hopefully
gotta
they'll
jump
make
on.
games like with friends passes and stuff too. Hopefully that becomes a
Yes.
thing, you know, because like we just it's not a couch co-op game, but we bought Pokemon Scarlet and Violet to play together
Yeah.
because it was co-op, and that's $128 with tax. You know?
Oh, good God.
You had to have
to
2
play
copies
together.
of it. I
Yeah,
forgot.
you have to have 2
Wow.
copies
And 2
Oh
Switches.
my God.
You know, and that's one of the reasons we love couch co-op games, is because it's so accessible and easy. You know, you only have to have 1 copy. You only have to have 1 console. Makes it so much easier and enjoyable. And, you know, because that's when we started, we had the Nintendo Switch. We had the Nintendo Switch when we got married, and we got the PS4, I don't know, a couple months later. So, and we had the PS4 and the Switch when we got married. We now have a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox and stuff just because of the channel. So,
Yeah,
but that's
nice.
so that we can cover all of these different games for people that only have 1 console, that just want to play them on the couch with their spouse or with their best friend or something like that.
Right.
So,
The best way.
It's a perfect excuse to buy video games.
oh yeah. So what is like your vision for the channel? Do you have a vision of what you want it to be?
I mean, to me, I just want to cover just different co-op games that people don't know about, you know, the less popular ones. So like we're going to be working on a, you know, top co-op games of the year video, and I'm trying to like dig deep into the games that people maybe missed. And I try really hard to do list videos I'm trying to do one for each console, basically every console ever, like my top 10. So there's like a lot of old consoles like the Neo Geo or TurboGrafx, and just people might not even know those consoles exist. So there's lots of cool games on there that people should look into. So I guess that's the main goal, is to just teach people about games that they don't know about that are worth playing.
Right. Get the word out there. So do you guys play your retro games all on emulators, or do you have the actual consoles?
I have all of the old consoles, so we don't use emulators at all. I have this thing called, have you ever heard of the Mister?
No.
So it's like some hobby piece of hardware. So instead of like traditional emulation is software based, the Mister is FPGA. It's hardware based. And I don't know the ins and outs of how to explain it, but the idea is emulating hardware, so that means it's more accurate. And if you have the Mister, it has different cores on it, so each core is its own console. So anyway, long story short, sometimes I use the Mister because it's a small, compact little thing. You can plug it into your TV, and I can play a bunch of games on it that way. Sometimes I go to that route, but usually we try to play on the original consoles because I have them, and I like to.
That's what I feel like the channel. I can see a lot of Zach's passion for almost, I would say, like video game historical categorizing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's collected all of the retro consoles, and now he wants to make videos for each of them. I can see a lot of his passion for those retro consoles that aren't being used anymore. / the channel's also, newer games, newer consoles, which is the stuff that I'm generally more interested in. More of a Switch person myself. But yeah, there's like two different venues that we're pursuing with the channel, different options.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So speaking of categorizing games, I know you have a website. Have you updated the website, or is it still just back where it was?
Not only have I not updated it, I didn't pay the bill, so it's offline currently. So,
no.
But I'm going to update it sometime in the new year, I'm hoping. But yeah, the website, once it is back up and running, is classiccoop.com. And I just categorized for each console. You can click on a console, then it just shows the list of co-op games for that console. And the idea is to just have like a very complete list of co-op games for every console. So if you ever are playing Nintendo 64, you can click on that on my website, and it'll just show you the list of games. And that's basically it. It's very simple. But I put it together for myself because I was holding on to these lists in these little notes on my phone and stuff. And I was just like, I just want this to be accessible, and I can get into it at any point. Just pull up in my phone and have it a little more organized. So I did it for my own benefit, and hoping maybe other people would be interested as well.
Right. That's so intriguing. So tell me the fascination with retro games. Is it consoles? Did you grow up with these consoles, or like where did your passion for the retro co-op games come from?
Well, the first console I ever had was a Sega Genesis, and my sister, she's 2 years younger than me, so we played like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Toe Jam and Earl and Streets of Rage. Those are like some of my favorite games growing up. And I didn't know the term co-op, but I knew when I was a kid, I would go rent a game at the movie store, and I'd look at the back of the box and it'd say 1 to 2 players. And then I'd try to like look at the thumbnails on it and be like, all right, are we on a team in this game, or do we have to fight each other? I don't know, but let's try it. So I would just rent games based off of that, and hoping I'd just be like, we want a game where we're playing on the same team against the enemies. And that, I don't know why, I just got really obsessed with that since I was a little child. Always looking for games that I could just play cooperatively with my sister. And then my little brother, he's 6 years younger than me. So eventually when he was old enough, the same thing. So I don't know why. That just has been an obsession of mine since I was a toddler, pretty much.
Well, and I think too, For me, I didn't have as much of a range of consoles as a kid, but the first one we had was the NES, and I just remember playing the basic Mario, and my parents' friends would come over, and I was 3 or 4 years old, like playing with them on the NES. So there's something about those consoles that are so connected, deeply rooted in our childhood. This generation, NES and N64, for me were the top two. And obviously I don't have knowledge about all of the other retro consoles, like the big handheld things, whatever that is, whatever that's called, all the things that you have. But there's something like that technology was just coming out, and video games were really just emerging into society, and we were children at the time, and it's a big part of my connection with my siblings and my parents, and the good memories that I have with my family are N64 and NES related. So there's nostalgia and emotion and family and friendship attached. So I can see next level here with Zach. It's like, all right, I love that part of my life, but I can also learn more. Let's get to the science behind it and the history and have all the knowledge. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, just as I got older, I just started. Then I did learn about emulators, and then I wanted to collect the consoles, and then I found out about consoles I didn't know about when I was a kid. So I just like constantly just learning about games that I didn't play, all the games that I missed for Super Nintendo or NES or whatever. So I've constantly been like digging in deeper and deeper, trying to find more games that I wasn't aware of. So that's been fun.
Right. Yeah, I think for me, I don't know how old you guys are. I think I'm a little bit younger than you. I don't know how much younger. But my parents did not really like video games very much. My mom was against video games. So we had some consoles here and there, but it was like to the point where my siblings would play the games and they would like sneak up in the middle of the night to go play games. And so the consoles would get locked in the gun safe. We wouldn't even be able to play them because they'd get locked away. So I remember we had a PlayStation when I was young. The first one that I had was a Game Boy Advance SP, and I would play Pokemon Fire Red on there all the time. To this day, that's still one of my favorite games. It has such nostalgia for me. I'll play that game. I'll pull it up on my Game Boy and play it. So like that's one of the consoles that, well, handheld. I don't know if, I guess a handheld isn't a console, but that's one of those gaming devices that I actually have to this day. I'm not really a collector, but I have a Game Boy Advance because that's what I grew up with and that's what I used. Mm-hmm. So it's something that has a lot of nostalgia for me. The same with like, we had a Wii U, not a Wii U, we had a Wii, and we got the Mario edition of the Wii. So it came with that 4-player new Super Mario Bros. Game. And when I found out
that there was your shelf.
Yeah.
The red case.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Oh my God, good eyes.
Yeah, we had that new Super Mario Bros. For the Wii. So when I found out there was one that was made for the Wii U that was pretty much the same and it got ported to the Switch, I was like, we need this game on the Switch.
Yeah.
And a Wii is the other console we have. When I got married to my wife, I was like, I want this for my birthday. I want to play the new Super Mario Bros. Wii that I played when I was a kid. I want to play that with you. So come to find out that she was much better at it than me, and she just flew through the levels, and it kind of made me sad and depressed. But
the thing about New Super Mario Bros., there was a phase where I was not keeping up with any modern gaming. I kind of just took a break because for a while I was just like, there's not a lot of co-op games. I just don't really care. I'll just focus on the old games that I like. But then when the Wii came out and New Super Mario Bros. Came out, I was so excited about that because it was like an old school Mario game and it was 4-player. That's what I always wanted in a Mario game. So that really like reinvigorated me and brought back my passion for video games, is that game and Castle Crashers. Those kind of came out somewhat, I think, around the same time, within a few years. Those two games specifically, though, got me really excited about video games again.
Right. Some more modern type side-scrolling games.
Yeah, Yeah, but just the fact, I just was out of the loop, and I just thought that kind of game didn't exist anymore, and I just wasn't seeing a lot of like couch co-op games. So I just saw those.
You were on
and I
the
was like,
couch
all right.
co-op is dead train.
Yes, that's what I thought. I mean, I know there was a lot coming out around that time, but it just wasn't as I wasn't aware of it, I guess.
Right. And that's something that, like, because we created our channel because we started playing games on the Switch together, and we could not find, like, there was no videos about people talking about co-op games on the Switch. There was no videos about people talking about the best co-op games, and that was frustrating for us. So that's why we created our channel and started finding all of these games. And ever since then, there are so many couch co-op games that release. It's kind of ridiculous because when you're not in the trenches and searching for them, they just pass by and you don't notice. So that's like where our goal with our channel is just to help people find all of these games and know that there are games you can play together and enjoy together. And it's not just It Takes Two. There's other fantastic co-op games that you can play as well. Rather than just those big name ones that everybody knows, or the first party Nintendo Switch games.
Exactly. You just gotta, they're out there. You just gotta dig a little deeper. You just don't see it in the mainstream games, the AAA games. There's not really. It Takes Two is like the closest thing to like a full story couch co-op game in a while I can think of,
Exactly. And like, even, I don't know if you guys watched the Game Awards announcements.
No. I'm
out
out
the
of the
Game
loop
Awards
on this
announcements. So
stuff.
they have two categories on there in reference to like multiplayer games. So they have best multiplayer game, which was all like shooting games. It was Call of Duty, Fortnite, Overwatch. It was all those type of games that they're calling multiplayer. Those are just shooter games, big multiplayer games where you shoot at each other. And on there, the only like couch co-op game they had was Shredder's Revenge. It was the only one on that list of best multiplayer games, and it made me so sad that it was all just these shooter games, and then Shredder's Revenge, because we enjoyed Shredder's Revenge. We aren't big TMNT fans. We didn't play the old games, so it didn't like hit with nostalgia for us. So we just were like, yeah, it's a pretty good game. But I feel like there was other games that released this year that would have deserved that spot over, Shredder's Revenge, or over, Overwatch or the other games. Though I don't play Overwatch or Call of Duty, so I can't really say against that. And they had they had a best family game section, and on there they had like Kirby. They had the Kirby game, the Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which we've talked about. We didn't like in co-op, but I think it was a good family game. If you want to play with a 4-year-old, we have my brother-in-law really enjoys playing with his 4-year-old. So it was a good family game. But that was like the only real couch co-op game they had on there, and the rest were like family-friendly games. Not even games you could play together. So it just, made me sad to see, even with the Game Awards, that they're only going for these like top tier games that everybody knows.
Right. Yeah.
Not necessarily actually the best game, just the ones that people know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we got to have more channels like ours to teach the people.
Yeah, I really like the Co-op Bros. They're doing really awesome. Of course, they cover a lot of those online games. I don't even care about the online games they cover.
Same, but
and that's where it's nice to see like the specific couch co-op channel. But I mean, even us, we are more focused on just helping couples have fun gaming together. So like, we'll cover the occasional game that's not couch co-op if we think it's a really fun one for couples to play together. But for the most part, we do just couch co-op because most couples aren't going to have multiple consoles anyway, or anything like that. At least in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know any couples that have multiple consoles unless they're on YouTube.
Right. I feel like most people probably just have a Switch or, maybe a PS4 or something.
Right. Or maybe a PS4 and a Switch, but they can't even really play together with those two consoles. So.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what are your guys' top 3 favorite co-op games? They can be retro games. They can be new games. Where would your top 3 games sit right now?
You pick 3. Can you pick
Let me think. I think my top one is Hyrule Warriors. I love Zelda everything, and just have something that's co-op is nice. So nice.
Yeah.
And I think they did a really great job with the newest one, the story, and having all the characters to choose from. And it's a style of game I like. I do like more puzzle-based gaming, but the fighting, I like that one a lot. And then another game we covered on our channel called Arise, which is a very small indie art, very small game. I loved that one. It was just really beautiful, very simple gameplay, but everything was so well done. The visuals and the story was so emotional that I just loved the whole experience. It was like a start to finish. You don't want to stop, complete it in an hour or two, and just experience the story. And it was I love that game. I want to play that again soon. We should play that. It's been a few months.
Yeah.
I have to think of a third one that I'd put in my top list. I know you have more retro games that are in your favorites. What do you think?
I mean, it's tough because when I'm thinking of like actual, like modern games are much better for actual like co-op, where it's built around 2 players working together. But it seems like it was more common for like a popular game to have co-op back in the day. So there's a bigger amount of really great games that could be played co-op, but they weren't necessarily like the best story or anything. But to me, just one of my favorite games ever is Streets of Rage 2 on Sega Genesis. I think it's the best beat 'em up of all time, and has one of the best soundtracks of all time. I'm just obsessed with that game since I was a little kid, and that's one of them. I don't know if this is one of the best games, but Goof Troop on Super Nintendo is another game from my childhood that I just go back to it all the time, and we need to play that together.
Yeah, I've seen you play it, but I don't think I've played it with you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's kind of like a Zelda clone, but more like level based, and you're playing as Goofy and Max from the 90s cartoon Goof Troop.
Right.
That's one of my favorites, and I don't know. It Takes Two is definitely one of my favorites for sure, just of all time. And well, that's 3, but I'm trying to think of some others that I could throw out there.
Just because it's fresh on my mind, it's not like my favorite game, but I did really enjoy the experience Pikmin 3 on Switch. Yeah, and that was fun. I love the puzzling aspect, and just it's a very unique co-op experience. I think that story is kind of dumb, but the experience of the story and completing the puzzles was a really fun time. I would play something like that again.
So tell me about how the co-op works in that one. We only ever played the demo. We like pulled up the demo, and I think we played co-op for like a couple of minutes, and that was before we even started the channel or anything. We were just like, let's test this out and see, because it says it supports 2 players or whatever, so we wanted to try it, but I don't think we got very far into it. I don't think Carly cared for it much, but I can't remember why we didn't play it.
It was a very slow start. It starts slow because you start with one character, and then after a very short time the second joins in, but basically you get these little creatures called Pikmin, and over time you get different colors. Each color has a unique skill. Like there's the electricity ones, the water ones, the rock ones, and they can break different barriers depending on their skill, and you're collecting fruit to survive, and also, there's different quests in each area or level, and you're in different environments, so different climates, snowy climate, water climate. So the creator really loves gardening and wanted to kind of emulate the idea of like ants in the garden, how they're so busy just doing stuff. So you each get to collect as many of these little creatures as you want, and you like choo, choo, you like send them out on little missions. You throw them out, and it's like you'll see a flower. It's like 5 Pikmin, so you have to throw 5. But some things are like in the water, so you can only throw your blue Pikmin, and you can switch between them. So you're trying to gather, collect to survive, and also build structures to get to the end goal of the game. So it's like you have this little army that you're sending out and commanding, but it's fun and cute and quirky the whole time. I love it. Yeah. It's worth going into. Yeah, I recommend.
Yeah, we'll have to look more into it. So
yeah,
it's always those first party Nintendo games that we actually struggle to get to because they never go on sale. They're always, cheapest you can ever get them is like $40 if you find it on Facebook Marketplace for $40.
Plus, everyone's already talked about them, so it's not like it's going to be a new video.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But every time we picked up a first-party Nintendo game to cover on the channel, it's like, oh, there's 5 reviews released 3 days before the game released.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah, there's always people that got early access to those ones for sure. I know I had a really fun time seeing the numbers go up on our latest review. We reviewed Bravery and Greed, and we were the first people to have a review out.
Oh,
so
nice.
that
Good
first
work.
day we got 1,000 views on it, and I was like, I've never had 1,000 views on a review in the first day.
That's
and that's
amazing.
like, it's not necessarily a lot, but it's a lot for when you're a small channel. And most of my reviews of games get like 400 views because other people have already covered them, and we're just covering it from the co-op aspect. But that one, it was like we're the only review people could watch, so it was fun to see it keep going up until it was the Escapists released one. They have 1 million subscribers, so their review just took over ours. And I literally saw it when ours stopped getting views. I was like, oh, somebody released released a review. So it was funny to see just that difference of having the first review out compared to not,
Yeah. Wait, so what are some of your favorite co-op games?
Some of my favorite co-op games. So top 3 is really hard because there's so many.
I know. I can't even think of all of it. I'd have to really think about that harder to dig deeper.
Yeah, I mean, I've been putting together all of these lists of best games for couples and best game, So it's been on my mind recently. So I would put It Takes Two at the top for us. And we don't really play any retro games or anything. So all of ours are Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. And that's about it. So I would put It Takes Two at the top. It's so hard to choose. Nobody Saves the World. We loved. I don't know if you guys got the chance to play that one.
I need to play it. I want to play it before the end of the year.
Yeah, no, that one is fantastic. It's going on our best games of the year list for sure. Especially, I mean, if I'm putting it at number 2 of my best co-op games.
Nice.
Nobody Saves the World. Unravel 2.
Would
probably be my number 3.
Nice.
I really, really enjoyed that one. I thought it was a fantastic co-op experience and a fantastic platformer.
Yeah.
So, and then I put some honorable mentions. We just played Escape Academy. That game was great.
Good. I've been wanting to play that too.
Yeah, that one, we had a lot of fun with it. I felt stupid sometimes. Carly's a lot smarter than me. It's an escape room, and sometimes I couldn't solve the puzzles, but
we need to play it.
She was able to.
It's an escape room thing.
I love escape room things. So that'd be fun.
Yeah. So you'd probably enjoy that one. So I could probably recommend them to give you a key too, because they gave me some keys for it. So
sweet. I need that. I don't need to spend any more money on games right now.
Right. Yeah. I had one more that I wanted to put as an honorable mention, but I can't remember it. So yeah, those would be my 4 favorite
Nice
co-op games. I don't know if I would actually put Escape Academy as number 4 favorite, but just one that's top of mind right now. Because we just played it yesterday. So
nice. Cool.
So I think it took us 4 or 5 hours to beat. So
nice. That and Nobody Saves the World are on my list. I got so many games I need to play before the end of the year because I want to do a top 10, but
We've been so busy,
Yeah.
but we
Right.
need to get into some of these games.
Yeah.
So that's a question I got for you. How do you guys juggle creating content and whatever else you have going on in your life? You know, finding time to play the games is always the hardest for us because we're like,
Yeah.
I got to make a review of this game, but it's a 15-hour game I've got to play before I can review it.
Yeah.
So how do you guys juggle stuff like that?
It's challenging between work, my 2 jobs, and our 3 kids. But it's definitely, you know, in the evening after I finish working. And then we have some downtime when the kids are asleep sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's when we do that.
Before we moved, we were like really good about it. Every single night we had a routine. As soon as
Yeah.
the kids went to bed, we played video games until like 2 a.m. and then we're tired
Stop.
all day the next day.
We did not play that long every day.
Most
But
of the
that's
time.
because I was still teaching evening hours, you know,
know,
and then I
yeah.
started teaching morning hours, so I couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah. And yeah. So right now it's like we have not really fallen into a routine since we moved. So we're trying to. You want to know the truth? I bought a couch like 3 months ago, and
We don't have it.
it has not been delivered yet. They keep telling me it'll be
There's-
delivered soon.
There's no couch for couch co-op.
Yes.
What are we gonna
so
do?
I have this game room with nowhere to sit but the floor, and these
Oh.
chairs that I don't want to sit in.
Right.
So we just, I just haven't set things up to play video games really. So it's just like, that's really the main reason I feel like we haven't been doing it as much,
Right.
which is lame. But
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, you know, you run into issues. We moved to Texas and we hated Texas, so we didn't create any
Oh.
content while we were in Texas. So
Man.
then we moved back to Utah.
yeah,
Wow,
So-
when did you live in Texas?
We moved January of this year. So
Oh,
and then
okay.
we-
And you
and
already
then we
moved
moved
back.
back in March.
Wow.
wow.
So yeah, we moved there by house. All of Carly's family here where we live, we can drive to her entire family within an hour. We can go to every single person's house. And she's lived here her entire life. So she moved to Texas. She didn't have any family around. That was hard for her. She's a teacher, and the school she was at was not a very nice school or in a very nice area. So she had a really hard time with that. We had all sorts of trouble. We were supposed to be buying a house, but it wasn't working out for us. So
No.
all sorts of problems there. And, you know, no content on the channel got created. I think I created one video because I was like, I need to get something out.
Yeah.
So I made one video while we were there. But, you know, there's things that happen in life that just, you know,
Yes.
they make it so things don't happen how they normally would. So even now we're like just barely getting back into a groove for us since, you know, like 3 months ago, Carly started going to work and I stopped going to work. So like with that change, you know, she hasn't had time to play games because she's so tired after work and everything. So, you know, things in life change things.
We understand.
And with kids too. I mean, you guys got 3 kids, but we only have one and he's a handful. So
Yeah.
Now it's funny because I remember when I had my first and was like so busy, and then now if we just have 1 out of 3, it feels like so easy just because it's so much more work when you have more, and then you get down to 1, you're like, wow, 1 kid, you know. It's just such a different experience than when I first became a parent.
Right.
So
yeah.
but kids take up your time, and they're little right now, so they definitely, it's just, you don't get a lot of free time at all.
Time with them too, you know.
Yeah.
Like I can sit here and work and ignore him all day, but that's no good. I need to give him love and attention and take care of him.
Yeah. I
So-
guess so. That's part
That's
of the
That
situation.
is part of it, yeah.
Responsibility.
Darn.
You know, I mean, he's good at taking care of himself. He'll just sit there and play and whatnot, but I want to play with him. I want to, you know, make him know that somebody loves him.
Yeah.
Yep. And we found, like, now that our oldest is 5, just we recognize how important those first 5 years are, because now at 5, big emotions, big needs. And if she doesn't trust, you know, your kids have to know that they can trust you, and you have to deal with so much more at that age. And it's like if you're building that relationship right away. it doesn't make it easier because they're still 4 and 5 years old and dealing with 4 and 5-year-old things, but I think they have connection and real emotional attachment. So they will trust you and they will feel safe to express their emotions and calm down eventually after
Right.
a meltdown.
Yeah, that's so true. So I think, roughly like 2 more questions for you guys before we end.
All right.
And of course, you're welcome to ask me any questions or anything as well. Do you play games with your kids? You have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
They're old enough to play games. Do you play with them, or do they not really get all of the rules of playing the game? Or
Yep, they love video games. So really starting last year, they both really got into it. Well, my oldest, she's always loved watching me play, but it was last year when they both figured out kind of controls, how to work things, and we'd play Mario 3D World. They love that game. It's very hard for them, but they love it.
It is not fun for us to play
Not
with
fun
them.
for us to play. Cannot accomplish anything, but we're having fun. We're jumping off the edge. It's okay. So now they really love it, and it's a big part of our week as a family. We always make sure there's some video game time here and there to play Mario Party mini games or play some other co-op game we can do with them. They love the TMNT, the new one. What is it called?
Shredder's Revenge.
Oh,
Shredder's
that's it.
Revenge.
Yeah, they love that. And my youngest, the 2-year-old, we give her another controller that's not connected to anything, and she just sits there and pushes buttons, and she has a great time.
Oh yeah, McKay does that. Yeah,
Oh,
he
Nice.
loves having a controller.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't wait till he's old enough to play with us. So.
Yeah.
And that's like one thing, like I said, my parents didn't like video games. They didn't really support video games too much in the family either. We had those consoles, occasionally they'd give in and they're like, okay, we'll buy this and see, and then, test it out. But like growing up, my friends' dads would always play video games with them. And I was like, my dad doesn't play video games with me. My family doesn't play video games. So it's something that like, I've always been like, I want to do that when I'm a dad. I want to be
Yeah.
able to play with my kids and have that fun. So hopefully he'll enjoy playing with us when he's older.
I think that our kids, they're going to grow up thinking that we're awesome because we play video games with them. Like, my parents didn't play video games with me either, so I would have loved it if they did. It would have been really special for me. And to me, just playing with our daughters, it's a bonding experience. We all get together and we're all focused on one thing, and we always play co-op games together. So
And we're laughing and joking the whole time, and
Yeah.
yeah. And for me, in my family, there was like a 3-year period when the N64 first came out, and my dad would play Mario. What is it called?
Mario 64.
Yeah, with us, or just we'd watch him play, and that was the only time he was into video games. Just those 3 years, and then he just couldn't care less. He didn't mind if we played video games, but he didn't play with us anymore. And so just having that contrast of when I was really young, just sitting there next to my dad, and he was excited to play video games with us, and then stopped, like not interested anymore. Just, you can see, I just remember feeling, I still feel really nostalgic about that time just because it felt so positive. And
Right.
we're doing something positive together as a family, very bonding, and it's like doing a sport together, but you have a little bit more accessibility with the
Yeah.
video game. Weather, time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it is very special for families. Those were some of my best memories growing up.
Yeah. I know a lot of people have like a negative attitude towards video games sometimes. Like they think that they're bad for you, that they'll take over your life and all this other stuff. And I think, that can be true in some cases. And I've seen it in people, if you're playing those games just for yourself and you're spending hours in those games just for yourself. But I've also seen the opposite of, that bonding effect that it has with Carly and I. And that's, again, where we focus. We want couples to have fun together. We think, why sit and watch TV all the time when you could be playing a video game that actually gets you to interact with each other more, to communicate with each other more, and, to actually be spending time together rather than just sitting on the couch together. We don't have a problem sitting on the couch. We watch a lot of TV together. But I feel like, there's a lot of benefits to playing video games together as well. And that's something, I don't care that my parents didn't play video games with me. I love them. I think they're awesome and cool. And my parents are fantastic. I wouldn't say anything against them. That was just something I always wished that, I want to play with my children. And now my parents, they play with my youngest siblings. I'm in the middle of 10. So, they had a lot going on, not a lot of time to play video games. So now that they have just
sense.
a couple at home,
Yeah.
they do actually play video games with them. And that's cool. Like my mom called my brother one time and said, "How do you beat the kids at Mario Kart?" So she was getting sick of losing Mario Kart to my younger siblings. So
That was so great.
is there a game that you guys were excited about that you wanted to play that ended up disappointing you, that you thought wasn't as good as you really hoped it was going to be? And if not, that's okay too.
There's a
I can't
lot.
think of any off the top
I know.
of
I
my
had
head.
to think through the list of all the games we've played.
The main one, which is what we covered on your channel when we did our video, was Bowser's Fury.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this looks cool. It looks like another like fully 3D Mario game, and it has co-op. I thought that it would just be a little bit better than it was, and
I know.
it was just really disappointing. It's a good game, but the co-op was very lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of any?
It's sad how often that happens these days, especially with like 3D games. With 3D games, it
Yep.
tends to be worse than anything else.
Man,
Gosh, I'm trying to think through all the games.
a lot of times there's like just good games with bad co-op that come up where they're not worth playing with a partner.
I even think like Mario 3D World itself is super great, but just the mechanics of the co-op and the camera are really challenging, like where the camera just switches following characters and can end up ruining the mission and killing you in the process. So, but I still love that game. It just has some, you just think at this stage, Mario, Nintendo, you're at this level, guys. How could you have any bugs?
Figure out the camera.
I know,
It's like,
you're at the top. So, I'm trying to think of other games though
I know there's a
that we
lot
were
of games that
really excited about. And then
yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't think of any. Were there any big games? I don't know. There's like the new. I didn't even play it, but the new Halo game, which is supposed to have couch co-op, that they just removed it from it. They decided not to keep it in the game, so that's disappointing. I was gonna play it, but I'm not going to now.
Oh,
Did they
interesting.
actually? I thought it was actually released recently or going to be released recently.
They released the online campaign, but the couch co-op, like the split screen, they just decided to cut it out. But there's like a glitch someone found, so you can still play it somehow. I don't know. Maybe I'll try that, but
Yeah, because I heard something about the co-op campaign getting released, but I didn't realize there was no couch co-op anymore. That's sad.
yeah, it could have changed. That's some news from a couple months ago. Maybe it's back on track. Who knows? But
Right. I don't know when I heard. I listen to so many different news things, and I listen to old ones and new
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
So I never know when I've heard what I've heard. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on with me.
yeah,
We will have you guys linked in the description. It's Classic Co-op on YouTube, classiccoop.com when that's back up, right?
yep, that's it. And hopefully that'll be up by in the new year. I'll work on it.
Hopefully we'll see. So thank you guys so much. Make sure to go check out their channel, everybody. They make fantastic videos, and we even made a video with them. The 10 worst co-op games on Nintendo Switch is what we made. You guys made worst co-op games of all time, I
Pretty
believe.
much. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Top 10 worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much. Have a good
Yeah.
one. We love
Thank you so
Y'all
much
are
for
awesome.
having us.